Okay, so welcome everyone to the Canadian Leaders in Asset Management, PEMAC Education and Certification Information Session. So just to get started, we'll go over some tools to use throughout the session. So the main ones that we'll see here is that microphone icon that some of us may have used in the bottom center of your screen. So to turn it on, you just click that, and to turn off your microphone, you'll just click it again. And then we do have this raise hand icon here, this person with their hand up, and that's how you can raise your hand if you have a question. Northern Lakes College respectfully acknowledges that we are located on Treaty 8 territory and Métis Nation of Alberta Regions 5 and 6, traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. Okay, and I did go over this a little bit. So we went over the microphone icon and the raise hand icon. And then if you haven't done so yet, please open this purple tab to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Once you've opened that purple tab, select this chat bubble, select the Everyone channel, and then to put in the chat, you'll just say type into this chat bubble here, or chat box here. And that's where you can ask questions throughout the session. In the chat we will be watching. Or as I mentioned, there will be time afterwards to ask questions with your microphone as well. Okay, so that's everything with the session. So I will hand it off to Nicole and Kian.
Thanks so much, Monica. Thanks for joining us. I'd just like to introduce us. So you've just heard from Monica Fisher. She is the Continuing Education and Corporate Training Liaison at Northern Lakes College, one of PEMAC's delivery partners. And I am Nicole Guillen, the Educational and Professional Development Manager at PEMAC Asset Management Association of Canada. We are also joined today by Len Middleton, an instructor in our programs, and a long list of accreditations, certainly, that I'll get into in just a moment. But I wanted to just introduce us and welcome all of you to today's information session. We're quite excited to have all of you joining today. I know that you're from around the world. We've got people from many different organizations and many companies and countries represented here on today's webcast. So we're quite excited to share more about the educational opportunities available to you and answer any of your questions. So as Monica has mentioned, certainly throughout we're really a laid back group here, so you can certainly chat in the chat window anytime to ask your questions, or we will definitely have a set some time at the end of today's webcast for questions if you want to raise your hand and use your microphone as well. So please feel free to share or ask anything you'd like along the way. The agenda is a little bit about PEMAC, and then we'll dive right into the educational opportunities, and then talk a little bit about the globally aligned certifications and the various paths to recognition that are available to you. So without further ado, I'll get into a little bit about PEMAC in case anyone is not aware. We are a professional not-for-profit association that enables excellence in maintenance, reliability, and asset management through collaboration, applied learning, and leadership. There's many different ways to connect, learn, contribute, and then also achieve recognition through PEMAC. We are a Canadian not-for-profit association, but we definitely have people from around the world that are taking the educational programs, that are members, that are connecting and receiving recognition. So although we're located in Canada, we definitely have presence and members across the world. So today we'll talk a little bit more about the learn and the education part of it, but this slide definitely talks about a little bit more about all of the ways you can connect, learn, and contribute through PEMAC. We are a member-based organization. However, you don't have to be a member to participate in the educational programs. In fact, with your education through Northern Lakes College or any of the courses you take at any of the partners, you are eligible for a free one-year participant membership. So you can become a member through the program, but you'll see a cross-section of organizations, different industries, both public and private, as well as organizations from across Canada, and the world are represented here. So you'll likely see some in the very industries that you're in. PEMAC also hosts some local and national events. So we have a variety of chapter events across the country. Some do face-to-face, some do online type of professional development and networking events. And so I definitely encourage you to visit our chapters page and learn more about things that might be happening locally to you. We also have a monthly online Lunch and Learn webcast series that's a variety of speakers and topics that are presented over a lunch hour, typically once a month. And so definitely can engage in that. You don't have to be a member to participate. It's definitely open to anyone to join and listen to those webcasts. So it's just another way to continue your learning and knowledge. And another way to also expand your knowledge and network is through the PEMAC's national conference that we hold each September, called the Main Train Conference. This year's conference takes place in Winnipeg from September the 11th to the 13th. And it is an in-person event there is an online component, but we are meeting in person again in Winnipeg this year. And so the registration is open at this point. There's an early bird discount, and we are accepting abstracts. So perhaps you or your organization has some great stories or best practices that you'd like to share, or success stories. We'd like to hear from them. So you are more than welcome to submit an abstract and be considered as a presenter at this year's Main Train Conference. And that abstract will be open until May the 1st. And so definitely check that out, learn more about the conference and how you can connect and learn at that in Winnipeg. I mentioned some of our members and people going through the programs are from around the world. PEMAC as well has a presence in the global scale. We are a member of the Global Forum and Maintenance of Asset Management, GFMAM, and this is a group of like-minded associations like PEMAC that collaborate on that global scale together in virtual meetings, but they also meet face-to-face from time to time at each other's conferences and such, and they are working on initiatives and activities at the global level around maintenance, reliability, and asset management. We are also a founding partner of the World's Partners in Asset Management, WPIAM, and this is another global initiative where partners like PEMAC kind of connect and learn and share best practices and collaborate. One of the more recent collaborations is the development of the global certification scheme that the partners in the World's Partners in Asset Management professionals have developed. And this is an alignment of some competency-based certifications that are recognized from around the world, and I'll get into a little bit more later on those in today's presentation. But you're not just connected to Canadian organizations or best practices, you're connected globally through PEMAC, so you've definitely come to the right place. Without further ado, we'll delve into our educational and professional development opportunities. I will introduce our keynote speaker today, shall I say, Len Middleton, who has a wealth of knowledge. He's a past director of PEMAC Board of Directors for many, many years, recently retired from the board. He's also an approved instructor in both our MMP and our AMP programs that he'll share a little bit more about today, but a great volunteer and subject matter expert that we rely heavily on for course improvements and lots of other committees that he participates in, as well as his day-to-day job. So we appreciate all the knowledge Len has and his sharing that with you today. And when you're ready, Len, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the introduction, Nicole. Let's get started then. So professional development, we've got a number of programs here. One is the one that's been around for well over 25 years, the Maintenance Management Professional Program. There is, that more recently came out, was the Asset Management Professional Program, and I think that came out in 2015. So it's been around for almost 10 years. And then there is a course to become a Certified Asset Management Assessor. And then there is the CAMA exam itself, Certified Asset Management Assessor exam. So those are different tracks that you can go and obtain some further professional development. Next slide. So let's start off with the MMP program. This one's been around for a while, and I think my first time I was in, I ran into that was in 1997. So, what does it provide for individuals themselves? Well, it is a foundation for career progression. This is something that is recognized throughout Canada and is valued. So you're gaining both knowledge and certification. There's a greater confidence in the maintenance management knowledge and skills, and a sort of a common knowledge with the training received, and that there is a focus in terms of collaborating with the other departments to improve things through a continuous improvement process. It's recognized as a high-level learning, recognized by many top employers, and that can make a big difference in terms of career progression. Recognized of a professional designation and a college certificate, and an excellent return on investment of an education for both the participant and for the organization. So to the organization, it provides a common language. The problem we run into is that often areas of specialization have their own language, their own jargon. And I know when I was used to do control system designs and that, I could carry on an entire conversation that seemed to only involve every other word was a real world word that others could understand. There's a one team approach so that you're looking in terms of working on a collaborative basis to maximize the efforts of all the groups. We're looking at leading practices in maintenance management and in reliability in terms of those things that will be effective for the organization. I don't like the term best practices because it implies there's a single set. There's practices that have to be applied to the organization based upon the context of the organization. From the organization point of view, it provides an excellent return on investment. We'll talk a little bit about the Capstone course, and those provide a excellent demonstration of the skills gathered and how they would be applied to the organization's issues. And it provides a standardization in terms of the common language, standardization in terms of how maintenance should be done, in terms of focusing on reliability issues and making sure that they're executed well. Next slide. So who's it designed for? Well, if you've got maintenance or reliability as part of your title, then we pretty much have you covered. So next slide. So let's get into the individual modules themselves. So module 1, that module is an integrated strategy for maintenance management. It is one that I know well, having developed the content for it. It is a 15-hour course where all the other courses are basically 30 hours. And it provides a integrated approach in that there's things that you have to be good at. And if you want to know how those individual things, you can get an excellent understanding of work management through Doc Palmer's book. You can get a good understanding of reliability from John Mowbry's book and that. But from an integrated approach, there is John Campbell's and Jim Raspignol's book on uptime. And that one there takes a look at all the pieces in terms of the strategy, the people approaches, the execution of it, from the use of systems, the use of requirement materials, the work management, the reliability aspects. All of those are sort of tied in all together. So it's a very much a holistic approach to it, as from a maintenance management point of view. Nicole, next one, please. Now, as there's a reason we're doing maintenance, and that is to preserve the functions and the functions of the assets, and the assets are to be delivering value for the organization, and usually that value comes in through the production and operations part of the business. So to better understand why this all has to work together, there is the second module is on production and operations management. So why is it the operations people do things the way they do? What are some of their areas of focus? What do they need to be good at? How can we best work with them and support the overall goals of the organization, their objectives? Next one, Nicole. Now, to get things done, you need people. So a key part of this is the human resources component. So looking at both the situation of unionized and non-unionized work in terms of the soft skills, the various legal issues and that sort of thing, and how to motivate, how to work with people. So this is a key one from a maintenance supervisor and a maintenance manager's point of view. Next slide, please. Module 4. This is always a fun one because if you really liked finance and accounting and whatnot, you would have been an accountant. But unfortunately, if you're looking at a situation as a maintenance manager, then you have to be able to be fluent in the language of finance and accounting to be able to defend or to promote your role within the organization. And there is, lack of a better term, you're competing for organizational resources to ensure that you get what you want, you get what you need, and that involves putting together a good case for what your requirements are. Next one. So module 5, so developing and implementing maintenance tactics. And here we're looking at, we want the equipment to continue to do what we want it to do. So what are those things that we must do so that it does that? So it's, we're talking about some of the different methods that we can use on there, RCM, root cause analysis, PMO, and how to implement those tactics as well. So it is a very heavily technical one. In fact, I think we're right in the process of updating this now. I was involved in I participated in the update on this one last month. So, and that's still ongoing. Next one, Nicole. Maintenance work management. So we've determined what it is we need to do in module 5. Now we need to be able to do is to execute it well. It means we need to basically have the good instructions and all the resources capable to execute the work when we need it, completely, correctly, and on time. So maintenance work management is focusing on doing that in a very effective manner and also being very efficient in terms of doing that. Next one. So module 7, we're getting into information management, and so this is the systems in terms of CMMS, EMS, ERP, and what we need to do to manage that information well. Not just the software, but also the data, to make sure that we're putting good data in there, make sure that we're selecting the information we need to make the decisions that we need to make to support the organization and to support the different functions within the organization. And finally, we have the Capstone, which takes all the information you were exposed to before and says, okay, given what you know, take a real world problem within your organization and what would you do about that? What would you do in terms of the different modules that could apply? And by the way, you're going to have to justify it as well. So you're going to have to basically put together a business case. So, so it could be a very strongly technical focus, or it could be a strong business focus in terms of how that would impact the business. In both cases, there needs to be a justification that is defensible. And I think we've sort of covered that. Now, at Maintrain, there There is an award for the best capstone. Best capstones completed that year, and one is focused on the technical side, and the other is focused on the business side. And so we have a evaluation of that every year, and the award will be made at Main Train. I know a lot about that, and Nicole can tell you why. Anyways, next one. So basically, the program itself, it's been around for a long time. It's evolved during that time as we get further information. Sorry, I wasn't talking that fast, was I? So it's designed and maintained by various subject matter experts throughout PEMAC, and it is not tied to any single individual. It's not tied to individuals offering consulting services or selling products, and it's tied with the bodies of knowledge of leading maintenance and maintenance management and asset management professional associations. So a lot of this is we've looked at what the GFMAM does, and we look at what they focus on. We take a look at the documents put out by them, and we contribute a great deal to those as well. And so we're taking a very holistic, global approach to that. The instructors are typically practicing professionals, and that is a key part. We tend to defend very closely the capabilities of our instructors. So, next one. Courses delivered live online or in person through teaching institutions across Canada and in English and in French. As I mentioned earlier, Module 1 is 15 hours. The others are 30 hours, plus additional time outside the class for coursework. It is a fairly heavy lift, so it's not an attendance course program. You have to do the work, and you will be evaluated both through your assignments and through examinations. A variety of schedules are offered by the Institute. Some offer as full-day classes, other 3 hours per week or over a 10-week period. Roughly about 675 to 900 hours for the 8 modules of lesson coursework across the 8 modules. So it is a heavy lift, but it is. I haven't heard anybody saying that it's not well recognized, that it's not worth the effort. You can take 3 per year, basically 1 per semester while working full time, and could complete the full program in about 2 years. And I've had a number of students in my classes who have done that. It depends on how you like your pain, whether you like it. Do you pull off the Band-Aid fast, or do you sort of slowly pull it off? Anyways, so where's it offered? So across teaching institutes across Canada, so Bow Valley in Calgary, British Columbia Institute of Technology, Conestoga in Kitchener, Fanshawe in London, New Brunswick Community College, Humber in Toronto, Northern Lakes in Great Slave Lakes, Southeast College, sorry, I'm not familiar with that, ETS in Quebec, as is ITMI in Quebec, and Northern College in Timmins, I think. So, yes. So it's offered a lot in certain face-to-face, but there is also the online offering. So let's talk a little about the Northern Lakes College live online courses. So interact with the class of maintenance professionals, even from afar. So it's a matter of getting the time set up, and because it's a live online, you basically all get logged on at the same time. So one scheduled class per week, balance education, career, and the rest of your life as well. And active discussions within the class. So a great way of networking and learn perspectives and practices from other industries. When I delivering these classes, one of the points I make is that all the knowledge does not reside at the front of the class. There is a lot of people who know a great deal take advantage of that. Do the networking. It may be some of the problems you're seeing that somebody else has already seen them and has a solution, or they tried a solution that didn't work. So that might help you out in terms of your own efforts. Next slide. So program recognitions. Successful completion of all the modules qualifies you for an MMP certification. I actually hold an MMP certification. It also provides the required domain knowledge for maintenance and reliability for either the CTAM or the CPAM certifications as part of the World Partners in Asset Management designations. And with the CAMA exam or equivalent, as well as demonstrated work experience. Other ways, alternately, pathways of recognition are available within MMP as well, including do modules 1 and 6 qualifies for a maintenance work management certificate. So there are different ways of approaching it and getting certification and getting the knowledge that will help you further with your work and your career. So roles within maintenance. So if managers and superintendents suggesting you do the full meal deal, all 8 courses, okay, all 8 modules. For operations and maintenance coordinators, then maybe just modules 1, 2, and modules 6 in terms of work management. Maintenance supervisors, well, you're managing people, so you're going to have to do 1, 2, the HR one, and you'll have to do module 6, the work management one as well. Reliability engineers suggest 1 and 5, the developing maintenance tactics. And for planners and schedulers, the 1 and 6, same as the operations and maintenance core. Oh, sorry, 1 and 6, but not the 1 in terms of operations and production management. Anyways, so that's some of the different certificates and that. Recognition, it's recognized by Ontario and Alberta Water Wastewater Associations as certificates for the continuing education credits. The MMP completion qualifies journeyman tradesmen for Blue Seal in Alberta and Saskatchewan in their apprenticeship and industry programs, and can qualify for continuing professional development for engineers and engineering technologists. So, but do check with your local provincial engineering body and also the Certified Engineering Technology Association to find out how that all fits. Okay, next one. Okay, asset management education. So now we're talking about the AMP program, the Asset Management Professional Program. So next slide. So this program here, and again, for the individuals, it's very similar to what we're seeing as far as the MMP, Foundation for Career Progression. So almost look at the maintenance management and reliability as tactical, where the AMP or the asset management more sort of strategic. So Foundation for Career Progression, confidence in the asset management knowledge. This is a relatively new field, and there is a lot of information. There's a lot of people looking at it, and there's a lot of misunderstanding in terms of what it is and isn't. Collaborate with other departments for continuous improvement. Again, we talked before, but this becomes at a higher level because now you're getting tying in with the finance and accounting people, and as well as the operations and the people that you need to be able to execute the work. So again, the HR, the training and that. High-level learning recognized by top employers. As organizations get a better understanding of what these courses provide, they will then be, often highlight them as a, if not a requirement, at least extremely desirable for anybody applying for jobs in that role. Recognize a professional designation, and it includes a college certificate, and excellent return on investment of the educational program for both the organization and the participant. Next slide. So, same thing we're seeing, one language, a common language of asset management here. It will reduce the communication problems so that when you're saying things that you have an understanding. One of the problems, having done a lot of consulting where one of the problems I've had is where if you use a word that I don't understand or use it in a way that doesn't make sense to me, then I will ask you to explain it. If, however, you use a word that I do recognize, but your definition for that is different than mine, then we have a miscommunication that may not be identified properly. So one team, so a collaborative approach between the different parts of the organization to drive the effort of getting the assets to provide value to the organization. Leading practices in asset management, and again, that becomes a global perspective as well, because that's the people that we're talking to as well as within Canada. Big focus on return investment. We are not going to go and do something unless there is a justification for it. And again, the cross-functional alignment, because we want to be towards the same ends, as opposed to sub-optimize the overall to optimize a single part of the organization. Next slide. So again, it looks like we get asset in the title, but also maintenance and reliability in the title. But now we're also bringing in production managers, we're bringing in production engineers, business managers, financial managers, because again, we have to purchase assets, so that becomes critical. We need the data, the asset data, to help us drive decisions, and the superintendents who oversee a lot of that in terms of making decisions. So this is a much broader, at a much higher level, as you can see, within the organization. Next slide. So the first module is first course is course 1, asset management principles and strategic development. So this is a sort of a introduction to it. So what are the things you need to know about, and how does this all apply to your organization? And that's sometimes given face to face, although I think we are doing that online as well. Next one. Sorry, course 2. So asset management capabilities development. So here we're talking about the capabilities. We start talking about the people aspect. We're talking about the processes, both purchasing processes and project processes, to help deliver the assets to the organization. And so this becomes sort of more the support of the assets and the capabilities of getting the assets and getting value from those assets into the organization. Next slide. Risk management and performance improvement. We're getting into some very large investments, so there is the financial risk. The other aspect as well is there's the risk to the organization of not getting the value that we need. There is also the health, safety, environmental risk. There's risk to reputation. There's a lot of high-level issues that need to be taken care of. And here we talk about risk, and we talk about risk to the organization, including not just at the asset, but at the highest levels within the organization as well. Next one is life cycle management, developing and implementing asset life cycle delivery activities. And this one here, we're looking in terms of, yes, we need to purchase the assets, but we also have to operate and maintain the assets. So what are the activities that we need to do during that? And then finally, we can go and do an upgrade or a refurbishment of the asset, or there may reach a point where it doesn't really have much useful life available to us, and we have to see about salvaging it or disposing of it. Next one. Asset knowledge management. And again, we talked before, there is a lot of information that we need to be able to effectively manage the situation. So how do we make sure that the information we're getting is good quality, make sure it's on a timely basis? How do we manage the information itself? Do we have some sort of processes in place to say what what information, what data can be provided by, and who can edit or delete that data? So that all becomes very, very critical to the management of assets. And finally, we have a capstone course here as well. And much like in the MMP program, we use what we've learned and apply it to a particular situation for the organization. And oftentimes it's putting together a strategic asset management plan for the organization. So it is basically, so in both cases, we're very much focusing on the application of the knowledge to something that is not hypothetical, but is real world, and it's a real world that you know well, your own organization. So how do we basically take all those things that you've been exposed to and apply them in a real world situation that would benefit both you and the organization you're working with? So, and the next one, how are we doing here, Nicole? So,
Great timing.
okay. And much the same one is here. Subject matter experts within PEMAC, and we do have more than a few of them. It is independent from consulting services and product sales. So even though there are individuals who provide consulting service, or even though there are people who provide product sales, this is a collaborative, and so we are very, very closely guarding our independence in that way, and ensuring that there is no conflict of interest between what we're offering and promoting somebody else's services or sales products. So it's aligned with the knowledge of the leading maintenance management, asset management professional associations, both the ISO 55000 series of standards and also the Global Forum for Maintenance Asset Management Landscape, which you can find on the gfmam.org website. Instructors are typically practicing professionals, and successful completion qualifies for the CAMP certification and the use using the CAMP designation. I teach modules 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 8 in the M&P program, and teach modules 2, 3, 4, 5 in the AMP program, but not the first one, not module 1 or module 6. So I do not have the CAMP designation, but that's okay. I still know enough about it. I can talk about it. Program delivery. Courses are delivered asynchronous. So there's ongoing lessons. There is information provided. There is expectations that the individuals will do research based upon the lesson activities. So there's reading instructor notes, posting and replying to discussion forums, quizzes, assignments, that sort of thing. The courses are 10 weeks long, 30 weeks of lessons plus additional coursework. There is an opportunity to connect with other participants and the instructor. It's interesting in that when you're posting information up there for the lesson activities, everybody else can read everybody else's work. So in terms of learning from others, this is a great opportunity. And because of the diversity of people involved, because I know on the courses I've taught, I've had people from finance and accounting, I've had people from operations, I have municipalities, I've had private industry, heavy industry, maintenance, reliability. So there is a great diversity of both perspectives and knowledge, which makes it very, very interesting in terms of exchange of information knowledge within that. You can do 3 courses a year while working full time, and the courses are offered fall, winter, and spring semesters at Northern Lakes College. So a little advertisement there for Monica and company. And here's the connection to contacts for PEMAC and for Northern Lakes College. Okay. Recognition. So successful completion of all 6 courses, you get the CAMP certificate and the right to use CAMP certification designation, and also it has the depth of asset management knowledge required for a CSAM when coupled with a demonstrated competency in practice. A subset of those doesn't provide you enough for the CSAM, but will give you the CTAM and the CPAM. So I've been using these abbreviations. So certified technical in asset management, certified technician asset management, certified professional in asset management, and certified senior professional in asset management. So that's what those all stand for. Okay, next slide. Yeah, I was involved somewhat in terms of the evaluation of the CTAM, CSAM, and CPAM certificates with the other World Partners Asset Management associations. So, recognized by a growing number of professional bodies and government institutions. Because there is so little out there on this, I think this is going to be a very the growing number, I think, is going to grow and accelerate even more. And this is going to be of greater importance because there's really nothing else to say that anybody has that much information. It's hard to evaluate. The courses are recognized by the Alberta Environment and Parks and Water and Waste Matter operator for continuing education credits. Recognized by the continued network of asset managers. CNAM, in their Education, Research, and Training Committee. Courses qualify for continuous professional development for engineers and engineering technologists. And again, find out what your provincial association has to say on that one. Okay. I think this has been a good program, and it's been anybody I've talked to on that has been quite pleased with what they've gained from it, but it is again a heavy lift. So what's the next one, Nicole? Opportunity for municipalities. This is always an interesting one because I've spent a great deal of my career in the private sector rather than public sector. So I've taught a number of the courses with municipalities, so it provides me with a different way of viewing things. So there is a special offering for municipal practitioners, and the latest one was from May 22nd through to November 23rd. Cross-functional municipal teams from across Canada, and I'm seeing that I'm currently involved a course 4, MP4, and yes, there is a lot of these, a lot of different people within there, which is interesting again because you get some people, you're asking a question and somebody has a great deal of depth of knowledge and others have not been exposed to that before. In the offering from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, there is a supplementation in the registration fees. Course 1, 5-day online, live online, and April and September 2023. And Monica, maybe later on clarify the dates on this because I noticed it saying April, September 23, and we talked about May 2022. Yeah. Remaining courses delivered asynchronously online, courses 5 and 6 still available. Delivered through Municipal Asset Management Program, which is delivered by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and funded by the Government of Canada. Saying it's not too late to participate, but it could be, Monica could tell you whether the courses are filling up. So look forward to running into you if you make it there.
Thanks, Len. I could, while we're on the slide, I can help to just answer those questions. So it is true that the funding that PEMAC received is from the full program started in May 2022 and will run all the way till later this year in November 2023 with the courses back 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 simultaneously. And we are able to run AMP course 1 for this special municipal offering again and a few more times. So the next opportunity to grab course 1, at least to get started, is in April. It's 5 days at the end of April, live online, and then again in the fall. The dates for September haven't been confirmed, but it'll be at some points in September over 5 days over a 2-week period. There is space available still in course 1 for people that are in municipalities or have partnership agreements with municipalities. There's a few other options that for partners and such that are eligible for this special delivery. And course 5 is still available and 6 is still available in that funded program, which begins, course 5 runs in May, and then course 6 is in the fall for the cohorts. There's about 4 cohorts going through the program right now. So space is limited in course 5, but we definitely can accommodate if there are municipal people interested. But certainly I'd encourage you to get started with course 1 if you are in this category in April or September in any event. Yep.
Okay, so next slide. Yep. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, Certified Asset Management Assessor. So there is a course for that. So you can, next slide. So it's recognized internationally. World Partners in Asset Management is the organization who administers it and who manages content. Internationally recognized certification. So basically assists individuals and identifies those interested in serving asset management assessors or who want to demonstrate their competence in asset management. Global certification demonstrates practitioners have necessary knowledge as well as the knowledge in the ISO 55000 series of standards and as part of the ISO 55000 audit team or for an internal audit or continuous improvement. So, and next slide. And just as an aside, I am actually CAMA certified as well. Developed the prep course for practitioners considering sitting for it or simply want to reinforce their asset management knowledge. World Partners in Asset Management recognizes this prep course for its content and relevance to the exam and the preparation course delivered online on demand. So, the relaunch for the course is on demand in 2023. So the exam itself was developed and offered by World Partners in Asset Management based on successful completion of a 2-hour online exam and plus a demonstration of relevant experience plus ongoing continuous professional development. And the exam is designed to test for knowledge of the ISO 55000 series of standards, the asset management, the GFMAM asset management landscape, and the GFMAM ISO 55000 auditor assessor specifications. All AM professionals can now write the exam through remote online proctoring and available in English, French, Japanese, Spanish, and Portuguese. That is courtesy of the other members of the World Partners in Asset Management, including our friends in Japan, our friends in Brazil, and elsewhere. So more information, you can see it there. And there's also the World Partners in Asset Management site as well. But see us first. Nicole?
Yeah, indeed. Certainly PEMAC members do get a discount as well as for the exam. So certainly connect with us and we'll share more information.
Okay. All right. More information is available on our website. Registration is available at Northern Lakes College, and there's a link for that. And more information on the programs, if you're tired of listening to me, you can talk to Nicole or talk to Monica, and they will help you out.
Thanks, Len. So we do have the last section here is around certifications that I can speak to. I can pause for a moment if folks have any questions specific to the educational opportunities before I jump into there. If you want to put some questions, if you have any, you can put them in the chat window or raise your hand. I could also continue going into the certifications while folks have their questions. It won't take too much longer, but then we'll get to certainly all of your questions as well. This part, Len definitely spoke a little bit about some of these other globally aligned certifications as when he chatted about the educational programs and how things are aligned and the recognition for there. So these next few slides just talk a little bit more about those globally aligned certifications and kind of the differences between MMP and CAMP certifications as well. So this might help a little bit more clarification on the recognition that you're able to access either through the educational programs or with education and experience that you already have. We spoke already about the World Partners and Asset Management and our membership of that as one of the founding partners, and that we've worked together to form a global certification scheme and created the CTAM and CPAM and CSAM certifications. PEMAC delivers these certifications, as does other partnering associations that are members of World Partners and Asset Management Association. So these are globally aligned certifications that are very much transferable around countries, and so it's definitely not just recognized in Canada. This kind of diagram here describes where MMP and AMP programs fit along this in comparison to these globally aligned certifications. So as Len walked through each of these AMP and MMP programs, you see that they are education-based. And so those certifications that you're eligible for when you complete those programs or qualify for credit through the PLAR process. We have a prior learning and assessment and recognition process. Those are education-based certifications, so the MMP and the CAMP certification. The difference between the other three certifications is they are competency-based, so they measure your education, but they also measure your experience and your ability to apply that knowledge that you've earned through education in a variety of ways. So the CTAM, CPAM, and CSAM recognize competency, where the MMP and CAMP recognize the education component that you finished. We don't really assess your experience. We just assess your knowledge gained through the courses or other means. So this gives a little bit of a snapshot of kind of where those fit. And as you see, certainly when you finish the AMP program, you have more than a wealth of knowledge that will cover that top, the CSAM eligibility there. And same with the MMP as well, so that you definitely have a wide range of that knowledge that you can use for those globally aligned certifications and partnered with your experience. And so that your experience definitely will allow you to kind of decide where you land on there. Leonard just described what those certifications were. The CTAM is the Certified Technical Specialist in Asset Management, and it's really where you're proficient in an application of a specific or essential activities within a relevant domain. As you go up, it is the applications of multiple domains or more in-depth. So the next level will be Certified Practitioner in Asset Management, and then Certified Senior Principal in Asset Management. Right now is that top tier. There are developments of other certifications beyond this to recognize the growing knowledge of asset management and competencies in asset management. So there's more to come, but for now, these are the certifications that are available. So if you'd like, are interested in more information or how to get started, this visual kind of describes the how to take those next steps on the CTAM and CPAM and CSAM. There is on the website, PEMAC website, and you'll get links certainly to all of this after as well. There's a short survey that you can take to see which certification may be best aligned with your education and experience. But in general, you can see that about 2 years experience and domain qualification will kind of align with the CTAM certification. And then you go up into the multiple years, including 8 years experience or more, and you have multiple domains, and as well as AM qualification, asset management knowledge, and or CAM exam or equivalence is more in line with the CSAM certification. So this is a little bit of a visual of kind of to guide you where you're most aligned with. We definitely have a lot more information, as well as that self-assessment tool that I just shared, and the application package on the website. So you can learn more by going to the PEMAC website and checking that information out. We'll send this information via email afterwards as well to everybody, but this definitely will help to align you. So in sometimes people go through the AMP program, for example, and they are more interested based on their experience to get apply for one of these certifications. So you kind of pick the path that's best for you, and others have the experience already. They don't need any further education because they've got that knowledge of asset management and the experience, and so they go right for a path towards one of these certifications. So it's just all around what's best for you and where you're sitting. So I see lots of questions coming in now, so I'll just go back. See, and I think that Monica's answered some of them. So I know certainly there was a question earlier about the AMP program for municipalities and about the grant opportunity. So just to clarify that there is still an opportunity to pop into the special grants funding that we have from FCM for the delivery of those AMP courses. You can choose a more customized path and at least grab the courses that are still going to be offered this year in that subsidized way, which is course 1 and 5. Course 6 has a prerequisite. You have to complete course 1 through 5 before you can enter into AMP course 6. So if you have completed those 5 before September, because maybe you've already started into the AMP program, you're able to get into course 6 also, but at a minimum, course 1 and 5 is certainly available for the AMP program for those municipal practitioners that are interested this year in 2023. We're not aware of future funding at this point, but certainly if that did become available through FCM again and the Government of Canada, we would apply and offer the program again if we were approved. So it's a process there. We're not aware of any funding at this time, but we'll always keep our eye out for that. I think Harmon's question for MMP, is a weekly class schedule available to review? And I believe Monica's mentioned that with this link to the schedule. So Northern Lakes College does a great job at scheduling all of their classes well in advance. And so they set out a yearly schedule, and they are working on their 2023, so we're in 2023-2024 schedule currently, and that will be available a little bit later in the year. At this point, there are a full schedule of courses available between now and the summer schedule. So you'll be able to see what's available now, and then shortly you'll have the full schedule for next year out as well, as Monica prepares that. But it's a great way to plan your path and your courses with that full schedule out there on Northern Lakes College, which offers classes all year long. For the MMP and AMP certifications, would I be able to take the courses in another way as they become available, or do I need to follow a specific order? That's a great question. So for both AMP and MMP, we do recommend, and in some cases really it's a prerequisite for sure with AMP, is that you start with the first course. So module 1 with AMP, or course 1 with, MMP, or course 1 with AMP. You really should start with those, because that really sets the stage on the overarching concepts of the program and really gets you on the same page. So you definitely want to begin with that. There are exceptions sometimes to that, but that's probably where you want to start initially. The following courses can be taken in any order that are your preference, that perhaps is more specific to your role, or as scheduled. You do not have to take those other courses beyond course 1 in any particular order. So there's a little bit of freedom there. The only exception is the final course. So MMP Module 8 or AMP Course 6 must be taken last when you've completed the previous courses in that program. And so that capstone course is an application, as Len said, of all of your learnings and applying it to a final project. And that is the course that must be taken last.
Well, the advantage of taking the module 1 and the course 1 first is it provides you a introduction and tell you how all the other pieces fit in. But that's the other courses, there is no sort of need that you don't need any of the knowledge from before to apply it in that regard. So the rest of them are independent in that regard. Hope that helps.
Yeah, true. Yeah, thanks, Len. I think I saw, sorry, I'm just scrolling through some of them. There was a question about the subsidized AMP courses and if the schedule is available. So PEMAC, that is a special delivery for the municipalities that PEMAC has received a grant for through FCM. So there's the schedule for the special municipal AMP delivery courses are on the PEMAC website, and the application process for those is through PEMAC. Northern Lakes College is our delivery partner for those. So you will be taking the courses through Northern Lakes College, but for the special delivery of AMP for municipalities, you will register through PEMAC. That is different for the regular, generally public schedules courses of AMP and MMP, where you'll register directly with Northern Lakes College. So the schedules for the special AMP municipal courses are available on PEMAC.org. And they are slightly different than the schedule for the general public that Northern Lakes College has on their schedules. Okay. And Monica's answered a lot of these, so sorry, but I'll maybe just repeat that for the recording also. So that there is a course 1 in April of 2023. And so at this point, there is, as Monica says in the chat, there's the courses at this point are for the 2022-2023 school year schedule. And so it will be available soon in May and June for the coming year. And as I mentioned, Monica and Northern Lakes College is great at, they do a whole year out. So you're able to plan and your training schedule from 2023 to 2024 quite soon. Is there a time limit to how long to complete the modules? So in general, no. People definitely, plan their own times and the availability to complete those 8 courses or 6, even in the AMP program. When you complete the courses, you will gather your transcripts and you apply to PEMAC for your certifications for the MMP or the CAMP. We don't really particularly pay attention to when you've completed them. So there is not a time limit to have them completed. What we're looking for is that you've successfully completed the courses. So you could take, less than 2 years, 2 years, or much more than 2 years, depending on your own interest and availability, etc. What we do recommend, though, there are sometimes people that begin the program and really take a pause and come back to it years later, is that when you if you have a gap in your learning, that you really refresh yourself with some of the modules before you enter into module 8, just to make sure you've got that knowledge, if there was gap in the learning by years, that you've got that knowledge when you get back into module 8 or course 6, for example. And so there's a number of ways to refresh your knowledge by purchasing the material again, or looking at the refreshed material, or looking back at your own workbooks or information. So we can definitely help you with that. But there is no window that you must complete the programs in. It's up to yourself for your own training plan. Is there a condensed format available? So there are a variety of I'm not sure which courses you're inquiring about, MMP or AMP, but for MMP, there is a variety of delivery options available. Northern Lakes College offers it as 3-hour lessons once a week. So most of those courses are 30 hours over 10 weeks then. There's other institutions that offer it. Bow Valley has a full day class. They offer it as a Friday and a Monday class. So over 4 full days, and it's over a month period per module. So it depends on, you know, what your preference is. Certainly you do need that time to kind of keep that, to absorb and that material and to kind of reflect and apply it. There's coursework and other research and activities and assignments that you do in between classes. So it depends, but you certainly can find maybe a delivery that will be suitable for you. We do recommend one course at a time, but certainly if you have more availability, there are people that take more than one course at a time to sort of capture that information in a more condensed format as well. So it just depends on what your goals are and your availability and your, you know, the amounts of time you have to commit to learning. And there's definitely an option to find different paths for you. Can you elaborate on the Northern Lakes College Anytime Anywhere program? Is MMP or AMP available that way? And then we are not constrained by the dates of the course offering. I'll speak for a minute, but I'll also let Monica, if she wants to add to that. Is that MMP is delivered live online. And so they're instructor led and facilitated, and there's a variety of different elements that even are interactive, especially within our new module 7 for maintenance information management, where there's a lot of class participation. So these courses are a live online class where you do need to be able to participate within that class start date and end date and complete those activities. It's not really, the MMP program is not typically an anytime type of program where you'll be starting at a time that's convenient for you. So there are times where people may not be able to make a live class, and so the sessions are recorded, and so they're available to catch up on, but it's definitely within that scope of the scheduled class time. The AMP program is not a live class, it's an asynchronous class, but each lesson is still contained within a specific week, and there's deadlines and things of that nature. So it is asynchronous in that you can log in at any point during that week that the lesson opens up and complete those activities, but it is still within a start and an end time that is dictated by the scheduling and availability of the instructors and things of that nature, so that it's in that case. Was there anything else, Monica, that to add to that question around anytime, anywhere?
No, I actually think you've explained that really well. Thanks, Nicole.
Perfect. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question there, Fraser. Yeah, okay, so if you want your organization to recognize MMP, who will be the main point of contact to get all the information? So I certainly, this is Nicole speaking at pd@pemac.org. You can reach out to me, certainly, Harman, and I can help with providing you some details of information you can share. We have some videos that we're working on. There's some also some testimonials, and certainly a great starting point is a brochure also. But we also have some presentations that we often do for organizations just to show the value. And so we can help to kind of, in whatever means you think might be effective to share that information with your organization, we can definitely arrange that and provide that to you, or we can certainly come and do some presentations or even online, do things of that nature to share the benefits of the program and how your organization will receive immediate value from people, their teams going through there. Yep. Great. So I think we've answered all the questions. Hopefully I didn't miss any. We're still online for a little bit of time, so if you have others, let us know. Even if you would like to chat, you can certainly use your microphone as well. Can you complete different modules at different institutions? Yes, that's a great question, Fraser. So all of the curriculum that is delivered is managed, maintained by PEMAC, and our instructors are also all approved by PEMAC. And so wherever you take the courses, they will contain the same curriculum, and you'll have similar experiences. However, and so you could definitely take the courses through different institutions, and you would collect your transcripts and apply to PEMAC at the end for your certifications. You should check with your institutions though, because often they do also provide a certificate of completion upon completing. So if it's important to you to get a certificate of completion, I know Northern Lakes College does as well. When you complete the course in Module 8 there, they'll send you one as well. So you just check with the institution where you're considering registering with, as if there's certainly some things that you also are interested in through that institution, like a certificate, and what their minimum requirements might be. They often they will recognize other institutions providing credit, so you'll need to share that you might have completed all of the courses, and if you're completing Module 8 at one, you have to show transcripts of the other courses through them as well. So just I would check with the institution, but it is definitely possible to find schedules at different ones and complete courses at the different institutions. Yeah. There are financial information. We do have a page on the PEMAC website about options that we're aware of funding for the courses. PEMAC does not deliver the courses. We are delivering them through our partnerships with the different institutions like Northern Lakes College. So Northern Lakes College delivers it. I am not aware of any loans because the program itself is a continuing education program. So I'm not sure that they qualify for loans, but that could be an institution question. There are fundings for organizations in each province, though, that we have found. So particularly private organizations. So often provinces will have training funds available to private organizations that want to support training and improvement with their employees. So you may be able to access some of that funding through the provincial or federal governments for some of the training. And certainly it's something you may also want to check with your institution with to see if there's access to other types of funding, either locally through those governments or otherwise, for sure. When we find out about funding, we definitely put it up on our website at pemac.org. You'll see under the education tab an option for funding that we've found that could be available for that. Great questions. Wow, great group. Any other questions? Yeah. Wonderful. So we've had a lot of great questions and certainly shared a lot of information today, and we'll still hang out. If you have any other questions, I invite you certainly to visit the website, even Northern Lakes College website, to see the latest course offerings. They have some coming up really in the next few weeks to get started or continue your learning as well. There's still spaces available in all of the courses they have scheduled. Monica's a great resource as well. So the session is recorded, will be available to access afterwards, and we'll also be able to share a PDF of the presentation as well. And reach out to us anytime if you have any questions about any of these learning opportunities or certification and recognition opportunities as well. I think we'll stop recording, but we'll stay online should there be any other questions. And thanks for joining us.